There are so many great anime and manga characters out there, but few of them are as inspirational and potentially life-changing as Onizuka Sensei. I'm talking about the titular character of Great Teacher Onizuka, or GTO for short. This isn't just my opinion. I mean, it sort of is, but I've heard many accounts of people's lives actually being changed by this series. It's pretty crazy. It's not what you would expect when you first pick this up. We're gonna get back to that though. I'll talk a little bit about that in a few minutes. Great Teacher Onizuka though, this is a classic. It's one of the most best-selling manga series ever of all time. Started in 1997, and the main series went on for a few years. They did a prequel series and a couple of sequels. The thing is still running. I had no idea until just now. I looked it up. Yeah, GTO Paradise Lost is the current ongoing manga. It's a continuation of the original. The thing never stopped, basically. I had no clue, but this is all very exciting to me. This video was recommended by me today. Sorry about that, guys. I've been wanting to watch this, and once I started, I just couldn't stop. So I'll get back to the comments next time. Yeah, GTO, man. I started watching it a while back, like years ago. Didn't finish it. I had read some of the manga. I had watched the live action series. I had enjoyed all of it. I just never finished the anime for some reason. So I decided I wanted to watch it. I was in the mood for it. And like I say, I just got hooked and I watched the whole thing over, I don't know, several days. But oh man, such a good series in every possible format. It's a good series. So the series, if you're not familiar with it, it follows Eikichi Onizuka, a 22-year-old former delinquent turned into a teacher. Now, he was like a biker gang member. He was just a total bad role model, if you want to look at it that way. Turned into the most unsuspected, great role model for all of us, the viewers, not just the kids in the story. But basically, 22 years old, he moves to Tokyo with his friend. They decide to turn their lives around, right? They're gonna be real adults. They're gonna find real jobs. They're gonna live the good life in the city. Somewhere along the line, Onizuka decides to become a teacher. You're just gonna have to bear with me for a moment, okay? Because this does not sound good at all. This sounds like something that could get me banned off YouTube if I'm not careful. Onizuka had all the wrong reasons to become a teacher. Basically, he wanted to get close to the students. Let's put it this way. Somebody told him that at 40 years old, he could marry a 20-year-old former student of his and live a great life as an older gentleman. And the story doesn't go that way because throughout the thing, Onizuka just develops a lot of maturity. We see his character grow. He puts it aside and he really, really cares about his students, all of them, in a very wholesome way. So he goes into this teaching career with barely the qualifications to do so. Everybody thinks he's not going to make it. They put him in charge of the most delinquent class, this notorious class who is just bent on getting every single teacher fired. They hate teachers. They're just a bunch of rotten little kids. I mean, they're high schoolers, but they act just horribly. And this is the job he has. He's going to be the greatest teacher of all time. He's got to learn to deal with it. And he uses the most unconventional and perhaps borderline unethical means of dealing with these students, but he always gets through to them somehow. And it's like he's on their level. Mentally, he doesn't have the same level of maturity in some ways as others, but he's got so much heart and he finds a way to get through. Not going to spoil everything, but right away from the beginning, they try to put him in some compromising situations and take pictures of him, incriminating pictures of him. They also do some Photoshop stuff and put his face on these crazy photos to get him fired. And that's just the beginning of it. At some point, there's like bomb threats and attempted suicides and all sorts of very, very hardcore stuff that Onizuka has to deal with. Ultimately, every single time he comes through, some way, somehow, by some extreme measures, he comes through and he saves his students. One by one, he wins them over to his side. We know he's going to win them over one by one. We see it every week, every episode, every chapter or two, but every time is just as sort of touching as the last time. It has that emotional impact. This is a hilarious series. It's really a comedy. It's going to have you laughing out loud and it's going to have you shedding a few tears if you're the emotional type. It's so ridiculous. It's so over the top with the humor, but then, oh man, yeah, it gets deep. It gets really, really heartfelt as well. Lots of jokes at Onizuka's expense. Lots of kind of running gags with the vice principal, who's this jerk. You kind of feel bad for him sometimes, but mostly he's just a jerk. His beloved car is always getting totaled. That's like a running gag, but it's funny every single time. Just the exaggerated, crazy facial expressions we see. It's all just so hilarious. And yeah, every time Onizuka's taking on a bigger and bigger challenge, he's always on the verge of losing his job. He's always broke. He's always dealing with some sort of crisis, whether it's his own or whether it's his students. It's just so good, man. It just keeps getting better over the course of it. We see all the character development happening and the relationships he forms with the students and his coworkers, and just the way the character changes over time. And he never loses that sort of childlike nature that he has. There's an immaturity there, even though on a whole other level he's, like I say, we see him gaining all this maturity and becoming more disciplined, more wise, but he's still just this big old goofball who acts like a kid and who's always doing stupid things and making mistakes. There's this dichotomy and this realness to it where he messes up. He's always drinking, he's chain smoking, all this stuff. He's always broke, seems hopeless in a way, but then at the same time, he's like this just amazing person. He's like this hero to everybody, and he always comes through. Just such an inspiring character. It's like you want to be like him, you want to live like him. So carefree and just living life to the fullest at every moment. Willing to do any crazy stuff you have to do for the sake of others and just for the enjoyment of your own life, while also taking care of business and doing the right thing when it really matters. Going up against all odds and just pressing on and riding it out till the end. There's actually a really good video on YouTube about this already from a person more well-spoken than me who really took the time to write a video essay about this topic and about how GTO taught him how to live. I think that was the title of the video. I'm going to link it down below. He really goes into depth about how the series changed his life, but that's not the only thing I was alluding to earlier. I've heard of many people actually becoming teachers because of this series. They were inspired to become teachers because of GTO. I think that's pretty amazing. I mean, we need more teachers and more, inspired teachers. I've seen teachers saying that every teacher needs to watch this show. And then, yeah, so many people have just been inspired to choose that as a profession because of GTO. And to be honest, I'm thinking about it myself. I'm in desperate need of a career change, or just something I can actually call a career, because I'm tired of working random jobs. Hey, you know what? We'll see what happens. But seriously, this has changed so many people's lives in so many ways. Just being an inspiration of how to live, how to treat other people and care for other people, and just be true to yourself as well. And to become a teacher and make a positive impact for other people in the classroom and everywhere else. It's like a trickle effect, right? Not only do we need teachers, we need good teachers. I've had good teachers, I've had bad teachers. Whatever you get out of that time at the school is so heavily, I don't want to say dependent on the quality of your teacher, but it plays a big impact. So imagine all these people getting fired up from GTO and then applying that in the real world and making positive impacts on others and inspiring them to live their best lives. I think that's very cool. The original manga ran from 1997 to 2000. During this time, like I say, there were some adaptations. There was a 12-episode live-action TV drama that I actually watched years ago, and it was really good. It was really good. A lot of anime doesn't make a good live adaptation. However, because this is just a real-world setting, it's nothing too crazy. This actually worked really well in live action. All the performances were solid. It still had those laughs. It still had those feels. It was really good. And then in the same year, although slightly after, the anime series started, and this one ran for 43 episodes. It's a good watch. It does differ somewhat from the manga here and there. It tends to be a little more toned down in some ways than the manga, and of course you're going to be missing some details here and there because it's more condensed, right? And also it doesn't really have a satisfying ending. The ending was a big disappointment. Little did I know, however, that the story never really ended, right? It's still going on today, and I'm catching up on the manga right now. I'm not even sure how the original ends. I've heard a little bit about it, but we don't get the true ending in the anime. Still a good time though, still a good watch. Yeah, the animation's a little outdated by today's standards, but once you get into it, Like, get a couple episodes in and I think you'll be hooked. You'll forget all about it. You'll just fall in love with all its charm, all its humor, all its characters. Even though there are some characters you're gonna despise, you're gonna hate it, it's just gonna be that much more satisfying when everybody comes around and Onizuka prevails, right? Highly, highly, highly recommend this series one way or another. It doesn't matter. You can watch the manga, you can watch the anime, you can watch the live action adaptation. It's all quality, it's all there, it's all good stuff. So let me know your thoughts on GTO. Thank you for watching today. I am done talking. Goodbye. I'll see you next time. Take care.